the 50 million, unless you're going to go spend it right away, right? Like the 50 million, you need it because you need 10 million down on the yacht, 10 million down on the house, 10 million down here, 10 million, then you can put 5 million in the savings or investments. Otherwise, it's usually a sense of security, but money doesn't create as much security as cash flow. Because I sold a company for $70 million 2 years ago that was paying us about $1 million plus per month in cash flow. The cash flow aspect that I sold in exchange for the $70 million, 50 million up front. At this point, I would keep the $1 million a month because no one really teaches you this stuff. Like no one really teaches you this stuff.
No one in my family's done it, bro.
No.
You know?
First generation, like, all right, guys, what do we do with 8 million? Ideas?
Right.
And it's like, that's not good. And then you go to the wrong convention, you go, ideas like, invest it with me, invest it with me, invest it with me. You're like, oh my God.
I agree.
So you're like stuck. Then you're on YouTube. And then you're like, what do I?
It's scary.
Then it's scary. Then you call a financial advisor, invest in stocks. And you're like, should I be really? And then you meet a random crazy guy, invest in crypto. And you're like, this is crazy. So the thing is, we spend so much time fixating on getting the money that we don't prepare ourselves to be rich. And if you're not prepared to be rich, you cannot get wealthy. You will spend it all.
What's going on, y'all? Eric Cline with another episode of Refuse to Lose podcast. And I got a guy sitting in front of me. One of the reasons I actually moved here to Scottsdale, Arizona. And it was the first time I had ever met him, believe it or not. And having a conversation with him, doing a podcast with him. This would have been 5, 6, 7 months ago. And I get to have him now on my podcast. And it is somebody that I look up to as an entrepreneur of what he has been able to accomplish in a very, very short period of time in regards to his age. I am going to be introducing a serial entrepreneur. He owns one of the largest, if not the largest, teeth whitening companies in the United States. Millions and millions of followers on social media platforms. He is a marketing genius when it comes to building and scaling brands on social media and all the stuff entrepreneurs do. So I'm super excited to get into this. I'm going to get to know him with y'all. But Josh Snow, what up, dog?
Thanks for having me. This is dope.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you coming out. I will say this, and this is not to stroke your ego or anything like that. Bro, you might be the most, successful entrepreneur that I've personally had on my show with what you have done. I don't know yet to date if I've had someone that's done the amount of exits that you've done, built a brand the size that you have built, Snow and everything else that you have going on. My audience is primarily wholesalers, bro, and entrepreneurs, but introduce them to who you are.
Absolutely, yeah. I was just saying that. It's probably because it kills most people. It's building a brand is very difficult, but it's also the best thing I've ever done. So I started actually here in town in West Phoenix, born and raised, did not have any money growing up whatsoever, did not know a thing about building brands, website, nothing, not in the family. No, definitely like totally. If you know this part of town, I grew up in Maryvale and a very, very rough and tough neighborhood. But very grateful because it shaped me into who I am today. I had to start working at a very young age. So at 13 years old, I was spending a lot of time in the Phoenix Public Library when I wasn't in a sport during high school, especially going into high school. And there were a lot of gangs in the neighborhood.
Where you grew up?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Maryvale, there were gangs. I mean, I wasn't in the gang, but like my parents were worried about. I was a big kid, like always. Like I was 6 feet at like 12 years old. So it's like I was a prime candidate, and I would walk home and stuff. And so when I wasn't in a sport, I spent time at the library so that I was safe or whatever. And that's where I found the book that said How to Make Websites for Dummies. And that was like the first little tickle of maybe I could make a website. We didn't have a computer. Like, we didn't have a computer at home. It wasn't a thing anywhere around me. But there was this desire to hustle, work hard, figure it out. If someone else could figure it out, it's just a matter of time. Maybe they can get it faster or slower than me, but if I don't give up, I'm going to figure that out. And the better I can get at learning, mastering learning, I had to learn how to get out of, my position of where I was, my family, help my family. How do I get out of this? How do I, if I want to go to college, I know I'm going to have to pay for it myself. I need to start working now at 13, 14, not 16, 17, 18, 19. So that pressure was there, and it was either sell drugs or, in my case, build websites. And so, it was something I didn't know about. I was very, very naive, and I think that is one of the superpowers. Being broke is a superpower. Adversity in general, you could be a billionaire and still face adversity. Adversity is a superpower. Being broke is. Not knowing is actually a superpower. It has to be used in the right way, but I think there is a lot of power to that curiosity. How many movies that are your favorites you wish you could? I just said this the other day to Charlie. I was like, I wish I could wipe my brain of this movie and watch it fresh, or a series or something. Like, how many times do you want to do that? We get to do that every day of our life as long as we choose to do so. But I started with nothing, did not know what I was doing at all, started making websites, and then started making websites for other people. So $500, I'll make you a website, boom. On the public libraries, I still didn't have a computer. And then I started building blogs at the time, and I used a fake name, and I would write blogs, and I was researching on Google, how do I get more people to my website? And so there was a list of all these different things. Everything required money. The only thing that didn't was SEO, search engine optimization. So I said, okay, I've got to figure out, I got to read every book, watch every YouTube video on how to master this, because it's free and it's super powerful. So I started focusing on that, building my blogs, writing articles. I'd run over to the magazine rack, grab one, rewrite it for my blog under my pseudonym. And then I found out about Google AdSense. I must have Googled how to make money from your blog, and AdSense came up. AdSense is a little ad you throw right on your blog. Every time someone clicks, you make 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents. And that was the first time I made money in my sleep, was creating a blog, ranking it in Google, putting the little code on there from Google to show the ads, getting someone to click in the middle of the night. And that, I just couldn't sleep after that. And that
you were
changed
how
my
old?
life. 14.
14 years old.
I was 14.
No computer at home. Use the public
Broke.
library.
Yeah. West Phoenix Hispanic boy there's no writing on the wall that I'm going to be, anything super great. At the time, I definitely wanted to be something, for sure. Like, I want to be a doctor. Maybe I can be a lawyer. I don't know. Just trying to figure it out, like something. And I knew I had to make enough money that I could take care of myself and my family.
Yeah.
So it couldn't just be something like super basic. It had to be something tough. So I was already gearing up as a teenager, but I grew up in that toughness. So for me, I had to choose my tough. And the tough was like, man, this being broke is tough. And of course, having money has its problems as well, for sure. Choose your tough. And I had a mentor tell me one time, because I was complaining. I don't know what I was complaining about, but he said, Josh, do you want to be the one asking or the one giving? And I was like, man, I definitely want to be the one giving. I can't. I've learned to ask for help. And in order to build a company and to build a brand and to build something long term. But in the beginning, it was me taking the city bus, Valley Metro. I didn't know about a Lamborghini and Bentleys and all this stuff. I was just like, it'd be really dope if I could sell one of these websites that I built. Because I found that you could sell the website. So you build it, you get AdSense on it, it makes $200 a month, and then you sell it for 3 years multiple or 2 years multiple. And so I searched, how do you sell your website? I was like, ooh, this is a good flip. So I could build it, flip it. By this time, me and my dad went to Fry's Electronics, and they had a sale on PCs and the monitors. And we got it. He's like, let's split the Cox internet. Like, we didn't even have fast internet. I don't know if we had internet. Like, I don't even know. But to me, it was like, oh my gosh, I felt like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Like I had a wand and I was like, bing, someone paid me $500 for 2 hours of work to make them a website. And the better I get, the faster I could make them, the more I could charge. So I would sit there freshman year in math class and I'd like multiply. If I had 1 million people to my website and 10% clicked and I made 50 cents a click, and like I would literally sit there, and that was my math class in my head, but it was a way to get out of the hood. It was a way to, a path that felt right for me. And it happened to me at a very young age, and I'm very grateful for that. But it doesn't come without its struggles too. And being young, you don't know what you don't know. So there's a lot of that naivete, but there's also no support. So there wasn't a support system for me as
Being
a
that
teenager,
young.
being that young. Everyone thought I was selling drugs at a certain point.
Yeah, man, my apologies for saying what you've done in such a short period of time. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's been an 18-year
There's
overnight
nothing short
success story.
about this thing. I'm looking at your age, 31 years old, because you just turned 31.
32.
Or 32.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I got 11 years on this guy. And I've been at it. I've been an entrepreneur for 14 years now. 14 years. And I'm like, dude, in the short period of time, you've been doing it longer than I've been doing it.
It always looks that way. Like when you see, I don't know, your favorite singer just belt out a tune, it's like, that's so easy. Your painter do his thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's so easy. And then you try to do it. What it is I think that what we respect is the consistency, the drive,
Yes.
the commitment. There's always, it's a standard for me. So you might not hear from Snow for a month, and then we launch in Costco. And it's
Congratulations.
like, thank you. And it's like, we're working. I'm always moving. Some things take a little bit longer than other things. But doing that, like with Snow, which I've been working on for 10 years now.
Yeah.
10 years on a singular brand. It wasn't my first thing. A lot of people might think my first thing needs to be my biggest thing. I did a lot of things before I built Snow. Snow is definitely the hardest thing I've ever done. I mean, you're going against a Crest and Colgate in a massively competitive space where nobody wants to make your products, let alone make better for you products.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's nearly impossible. And then make teeth whitening and oral care sexy, fun, cool, and like, of culture. That is very difficult. 10 years, 100 million just on meta ads for that one brand. So I bootstrapped it to 100 million by myself. So that one is like, it's to me a third of my life, right? But I had a head start. So from 13 to 17, really till I graduated high school, I still went to college. I have a college degree. So I was still like, I don't know if this is going to pan out. And at 17, made my first $1 million to affiliate marketing, selling other people's stuff.
At 17
At
years
17
old.
years old, yeah. 18 graduated, went to ASU, went to the honors college, and I said, I have to do this. I have to do this because I'm a part of a statistic I'm hoping changes, and I can't change it if I don't. If I have a chance right now to be a piece of that, I got to do it. I graduated in 2 years, so half the time. So I was like, all right, I'm here. I'm running a business, like a multi-million-dollar business now for
While
my dorm
in
room.
college.
As soon as I got into school, things started to take off a little bit more and more. By the time I was in my second year, they really started to take off. I moved away from the university, and then I finished right at 20. And by 20, we were working with some of the biggest brands, managing their media. It was absolutely insane. I bought my first Bentley, just like
At 20 years old.
At 20 years old.
Out of the hood.
Yeah.
Beat the statistic.
Yeah.
College graduate.
Yes.
And then the story's just gonna freaking.
Yeah. Then honestly, I don't want to say it's been a blur because I've been enjoying my life and building Snow, and like, it's insane the last 10 years where I thought, oh my gosh, I finished school. It's the first time I don't have to split my day with a final exam.
Yeah.
Like, that was unfathomable to me. And then, of course, I didn't want to just get through school. I graduated valedictorian from my high school, came from like far behind, figured out what a valedictorian was. Number one, I was like, I need that. So I retook classes, summer school, crazy stuff. And that drive, I don't know if you teach it necessarily entirely, but I do think that it's environment driven. So being surrounded by, in my case, I was surrounded by a lot of the negative aspects of not having drive. Like if you don't figure another way out, that's going to be your life.
Yeah.
And that terrified me so much that as soon as I figure out, wait, people will pay me to click and clack and build them a website and it's legal and clean and they love it, I'm going to do that. And so all I could think about was that, but I needed to graduate college. And then from 20 to 22, before I like really started Snow, I was exiting some businesses, kind of going through this mental process. And I went through some depression as well because I was just selling stuff. Businesses, yeah.
Got it.
I was just selling businesses, like, all right, sell this, and then you buy the cars, you do all this stuff, and I like nice stuff. But I was seeking at that age, kind of figuring it out, and what's next, and what do I got to do, and just all this kind of psychological stuff. And I realized I have to be doing something that's really big always. So nonprofit, community, nonprofit, family, things that you can pour into, and it just makes you better. But it's not like you build something, you sell 1 million units, or all right, I'm in Costco, Nordstrom, this, and like, why am I not so happy?
Yeah. Why is this void?
Right. Yeah, why does it not fill? I have money in my account. I have every car. I have every watch. What? And so I think going through that, and I don't know if you have to go through that. I had to go through that like firsthand, and you have to, or I had to lose things a couple times too.
Yes,
So like
I've
that
been there.
process is, and I'm just blessed to have had that happen earlier in my life, where I've gone and done the $50,000, $100,000 trips to Dior and just spending and bottle service. I mean, it's like, and yes, I look at it as it brought me to where I am today.
Yeah.
But of course, I'm like, maybe I could have curbed that back a little bit too. But it's like, I know I'm young, but I do know. So there's always been this balance of being younger, but being this older soul and having done this for now, 15 plus years.
Yeah.
That it's like, what's next for me? And I do believe that when I started Snow saved my life in many ways, because it gave me a challenge that was so difficult that it required me to level up like 500 times.
Just so everyone understands, we keep naming this brand Snow.
Yeah.
And we've mentioned Crest.
Uh-huh.
I want everyone to know what the hell because they might be thinking,
What do you sell?
What is Snow? What is
Right.
Snow?
Right.
When I first met you, I was wondering the same thing. Literally, I'm like, all right, he's talking about it. He's talking about what is Snow. Can you just let the audience know?
Yeah, I'd love to.
What have you actually built?
Absolutely. So it's Snow, in a nutshell, Snow's an oral care company. So we produce toothpaste, mouthwash, toothbrushes, teeth whitening kits, teeth whitening strips. The difference of our brand since day one has been better for you ingredients, a better for you focus, without losing the efficacy. The best example is Tesla, I would say, is a good example. There's the Prius, but not everybody wanted to drive the Prius. The Tesla came out, looks like an Aston, and now everybody wants to drive that. And so we kind of filled that void in the market of how do we make oral care, how do we put vitamins in our toothpaste? How do we use non-toxic ingredients, cruelty-free, the things that we could avoid where possible. So it started at the very beginning with a teeth whitening kit. And the teeth whitening kit was $149 when we started, or when I started the business. And it was essentially bringing the dentist into your house for a similar level type of teeth whitening treatment, but with less sensitivity than other systems. So super sensitive, focused, but really strong results at the same time. So it was always at the beginning that crossover. How do we maximize the results without compromising. And while we're in there, what if we could infuse vitamins? Under your tongue is a great bed for absorbing vitamins. Your gums are great areas for absorbing nutrients and vitamins. So what if we could put probiotics in our mouthwash, which is what we've done? So an innovative approach to oral care. We've always been the most bougie brand in oral care. So Neiman Marcus, Saks, where you could find our products previously.
Places you would not think.
Yeah, places you would not think for sure. We're in Vogue, but we're also in GQ, but then we're in, yes. So it was different. Dermatologists sell our product, but it started with one product and an idea that if shampoo has vitamins, if my dog's food is keto, like what? I'm spending avocado toast is $30 if you buy it from the wrong place because it's keto, this. And then we shove chemicals in our mouth twice a day without thinking twice about it. I was like, okay, there's got to be a point. Everybody has teeth. Like someone's going to be like, hey, shouldn't we like to pay attention to what we're putting in our mouth? We're spending all this money on food. Let's take a look. And I wanted to build Snow to be one of the options so that when people said, I want another option, I want to have a fluoride alternative toothpaste that does whiten really strong. Because a lot of times the all natural stuff, people, we hear it all the time, the results aren't all the way there. The all natural deodorant, you might need, maybe not chemicals and stuff, but you might need a little extra than someone else. And the all natural doesn't get you there. So we figure out that gap. And in a nutshell, we help people smile, feel more confident. We now have an award-winning line of all kinds of oral care products. But it started with one in my house. And I said, I believe that one day this could be a product found in Costco, CVS, Nordstrom, Neiman, Amazon. And we just shipped our 100 millionth treatment, mostly in the US, but we shipped to 150 countries or whatever. But that was it, building something that people could connect with and then giving a ton of value. Building trust, every customer interaction, picking up the phone one by one in the beginning. Hey, this is Josh, want to make sure you got your order. What do you think? How are the results? Really getting that feedback and then quickly calling the manufacturer. We need to change this. We need to have it plug into the phone. We need a wireless version. Constantly thinking through the customer's lens, making it better, like Apple has done, Dyson, a lot of great brands. I just felt that that wasn't being entirely done in the way that I wanted to purchase oral care. Like I also wanted a brand I could put on my vanity in my nice house and it doesn't like be weird. People put their mouthwash bottle underneath the sink. They'll take their crusty tube of toothpaste and throw it into something else. Why can't it be part of that? The
with
lotion,
the nice face wash,
correct, the soap,
everything. Let me ask you a question. How do you go from a kid from the hood in a situation I always say you're either running from a life you don't want or you're running towards a life that you want. You're running from or running towards, right? So you were maybe in the beginning running from a life you didn't want. You knew you wanted better. You start making websites in a library. You said you went to college. You said nothing about I don't even know what they call dentists. What type of school do you go to?
Dentist.
But you didn't go to that.
No.
So how does Josh go from being a kid in the hood to somebody that owns one of the largest, competing with massive brands like Crest? How the hell does that even happen? Where did the idea come from? Like, I get it. You are where you are now, but how the hell did it even happen?
Right. Well, so I had braces twice growing up. So I had a lot of jaw issues. So I had jaw surgery actually. So my whole top jaw, they took it out, rearranged it, put it back in. So I had a lot of experience with teeth stuff.
Okay.
And so that is where it started as a consumer. So I had super sensitive teeth. I wanted to obviously have whiter teeth as a budding entrepreneur, like anything to give me an odd in my favor. So I had that. And then when I was undergoing jaw surgery, in the back of my mind, I had sold these companies. I was like, okay, perfect time. I have a gap. Let me do my jaw surgery because I got to be wired shut for 1 to 2 weeks. I'll just chill out as much as I can. So I went through that process. And of course, I knew that oral care is a big space. Obviously, toothpaste is big, but
Massive space.
massive. And it's like, man. And I saw what Method Soap had done in the soap space with packaging and kind of different flavor scents. And I saw like this mass distribution start to happen. All the vitamins. So some of these brands were popping up in Target when I'd go in there and kind of just hunt for brands. And I go, oh, okay, people are opening up to more healthy alternatives. Even Walmart's starting to carry some stuff. Oh, wow. So that piece started to kind of open up my mind. And then I wanted something that I could explain in like a few words. I sell toothpaste or I sell oral care. I wanted something that could be a household name. And then I also knew at the time that if I didn't have something big enough that I was chasing toward, that I'd revert back to the chasing from. And the chasing from behaviors, it took me millions of dollars and years to be like, I will never be broke again. Like to accept that mindset, because for years, for a decade, I still woke up as the broke kid getting on the Valley Metro bus. That fear of what you said, running away from the activities no longer were as productive because I had already ran away. And so I had to do the work in between, which was be comfortable with myself and like find happiness with myself. Years of therapy. Therapy wasn't a thing in the hood. We don't go to therapists. You're in the crazy hospital or like, shut up. Yeah. So learning how to, as a man, a boy becoming a man, also a multimillionaire, self-made from nothing, having to figure all that out, and you end up ascending accidentally a lot of your community because you have to keep moving. So I can't stay living in my childhood house as I'm building these businesses. It's not conducive to what I'm doing. So it can get really lonely, and so in that gap, I had to figure it out. And I said, if I stay chasing a large market like oral care, Crest sells, I think, 1 billion tubes of toothpaste a year. That's a strong competitor to run against and to create value and to figure out, okay, what could we do that creates value in their ecosystem? We have a lot of customers that have an Oral-B toothbrush, Colgate toothpaste, and then Snow powder they sprinkle on top. So it's an ecosystem, and it's a rising tide as well. So for me, I know I'm throwing pebbles at Goliath, but it's really to show as a consumer. At the end of the day, if I make $0 from this business, Snow's given me so much in becoming the man I am today, the challenge, the depth of that challenge.
Yeah.
It's one thing to start one product or it on Etsy. It's another to manage Costco, CVS, Amazon, affiliates. There's so many channels, products. Everything we have is built in-house. I'm a patented inventor because of Snow. Like, we invent world-first innovations for oral care, and then we market them, and then we ship them, millions of packages, and then we talk to the customers. It's extremely intimate for a $5 tube of toothpaste.
Right. You just said something, I'm throwing pebbles at Goliath. And you've said you were making millions of dollars. You had to go through years of, I don't know if you said years, but therapy to figure out who you were as a man.
Oh, yeah.
And man, you hit my heart on a couple of those things. Meaning, I remember in 2019, my wife and I were making the most money we had ever made in our lives. Anyone in our family, like we didn't even, at some points I was like, how the hell did I even get here? But my wife and I were getting ready to exit a company for over $100 million. We were making, the company was netting $12 million a year. I was 67% owner of that company. And I remember looking back at it now today, Josh, I was the most miserable I've been since I've been clean. Mm-hmm. I've been clean for 15 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But at that time, I was miserable.
Right.
I was like, I had the houses, the cars, the jewelry, the everything. And I'm like, how the hell am I not happy? Right. Like internally, nobody knew this, but internally I was self-sabotaging like no other. Mm-hmm. And then the throwing pebbles at Goliath, I we owned a timeshare exit company, and we were going to be the first company in that industry to ever exit. But two of the larger developers ended up suing us for frivolous lawsuits. $2 billion companies they got a hold of our book. We knew they knew we were going to exit, and they got us before the deal was solidified. So and I don't know if that term or that analogy was used in your way, these big global multi-billion-dollar companies.
Right.
I know they see Josh Snow. They got to know, they hear the word snow. They know what snow is. Is your ultimate goal for one of them to come and say, all right, enough's enough. We'll take that and buy that from you? Or is there ever butting heads with these big guys in?
I mean, let's look at it. So Procter and Gamble and Colgate Palmolive is even older. Colgate Palmolive is over 200 years old. Procter and Gamble, I believe, is 150 plus years old. I'm 10 years old. So technically, sure, there is longevity to it, but I want the dream scenario is that by throwing pebbles versus, planting traps and hurting Goliath. It's to get their attention, not to hurt them, because the distribution, like if you're building a beverage business, you have to at some point partner. Maybe you don't sell the whole business, but you have to partner with Dr. Pepper, Keurig distribution, PepsiCo, or Coca-Cola, right? At some point, if you have a great Cheeto alternative, you get friendly with Frito-Lay. And at some point, because if the truth of what I started this brand for, and I've taken $0 off the table in 10 years, I've never taken a single distribution from the business. So I burned all the boats. So for me, and I think that's helped me attract some of the best talent to commit to seasons in this business where things were incredibly difficult as you scale. So, all of that I'm grateful for. But I think, yes, ultimately, I'd love we could do lots of flavors of toothpaste per country. We can bring this innovation and better for your oral care at better prices. This year in January, we dropped our prices 40% across the entire line, while everyone else is increasing their prices 40%. So we said, look, we can't be that expensive anymore. We got to figure it out because we're not ever going to run out of customers. We need to get more of them. They're already there. They have their teeth. We just got to convince them that this is better. And one of the ways to do that is value. And price is very important to value, especially in toothpaste. You don't want to spend $20 every time you buy toothpaste. $5. If we can get it to $5 for a nice tube of toothpaste with the best stuff.
Is that what yours is? $5?
Correct.
I don't know.
Well, we have a couple lines, right? But you can get a Snow toothpaste right now for $5.
And then you have high end.
And then we have vitamin enriched, and that's probably $8 to $10 a tube, depending on what pack you buy. But you could buy a 12-pack, and they're $5 a tube, and it's like you're going to use them, you're not going to run out. So making that affordable is key. What I've found is how do we create value, especially as we've worked with retailers, so CVS and Nordstrom and Neiman and now Costco. We're not here to really, we're definitely here to get attention of this is an option, but we know it's not just going to be Snow in the future. 20, 30 years from now, there will be hopefully multiple brands. Snow may be the biggest or the best or whatever you want to say, but it's going to be multiple brands that people have a choice from. Today, it's just not there yet. It's lagging. There's a buffering system. And I think that you never want to build a business simply to sell it. You build a business you never want to sell. And as soon as you never want to sell and everyone says, you better not, you idiot, you may get a really, really good offer you can't refuse. And the best negotiation tactic is to walk away. And you want to walk away knowing that you're walking to something better. So set yourself up in that scenario. So it took 10 years. We said, hello, oral care could be fun and exciting. And now Crest has a teeth whitening kit. Colgate has a teeth whitening kit. So we created that
And they didn't have
market.
that when
They did not have that.
Snow started.
No. We built that category. We popularized it. Spent $100 million on meta ads. That's us, man.
Yeah.
So we built that category, and now we're in Costco as the only whitening kit in Costco.
Really?
The only whitening kit. And they usually pick category leaders in that space, and so there's some brushing up in the products, but I think overall it's really, we'd love for people to have the choice. We'd love for them to choose a Colgate or Crest toothpaste, but then expand the wallet.
Yeah.
And that's really the chart that's important in our market. There's an expansion. Imagine skincare at some point. It was a 3-step routine or one all-in-one. I mean, guys, 7-in-1. Deodorant, hair, shampoo, and you can wash your dog with it and your car.
Yeah.
And it's a barrel. And we're like, that's great. $12, buy it. That was it now. Now it's, well, this is for this and this and this and this. And now it's created the opportunity to compete because people spend more in those areas now, but they're not going to give it all to Crest. They're not going to give it all to Colgate. They're not going to give it all to Snow. So it's that combination.
Yep.
And we want distribution at some point. I don't think that at some point we would figure out India and Latin America and all these places, China, but Snow's a brand that deserves to be in those places sooner.
Of course, dude.
So that's where we're going to kind of figure that out when it makes sense. For now, I'm like a chef and we're making stuff. People love it. They love the cookies. More cookies.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that now for 10 years. And it's been the most difficult thing I've ever done, the most rewarding thing I've ever done. I feel like I've gained so much wisdom and experience by going through this Snow journey. Yeah. I've been able to build and exit companies along the way, and I've been very busy. But now in this chapter of my life, I think I want to, there's always more, right? But I think I've learned a lot about myself. I'm much more of an entrepreneur than I am a CEO. And that is, and I can play CEO very well, but it's not my zone of genius. My zone of genius is in entrepreneurship. It is in creation, but not necessarily mass distribution. And so there's certain things that you kind of choose. And I've been fortunate to sell companies along the way where my lifestyle doesn't hinge on a Snow exit or anything. I've got pretty much everything I need right now.
Yeah, right. You've exited
4 companies substantially.
4 companies that were sizable exits.
Sizable, yeah.
Not little baby exits.
Correct.
You have Snow's doing big numbers.
Yeah, we've sold hundreds of millions of dollars of oral care. Yeah.
Hundreds of millions of dollars. And I think units
over 100 million treatments.
over 100 million treatments.
We've had 55 million unique Americans just shop on trysnow.com, our website.
Yeah. When you first started this, was this more like I'm trying to think even how to word this. Like an online play for you?
Yeah, it was
I don't want to
D2C.
say is it e-commerce?
Direct to consumer e-commerce. It definitely was in the beginning.
It was.
It definitely was.
So how long did you play that out?
3 or 4 years. I mean, we got to $100 million before online before launching Best Buy.
Strictly
Walgreens.
online.
It was strictly online, and we didn't even have Amazon actually. It was
Really?
one website, one guy, and then build a team, one product, essentially.
Teeth whitening.
Teeth whitening kit. $149, and then launched I feel like we sold close to 1 million units by the time I launched the second product.
Really? Dude, you had a bunch of... I went down the rabbit hole of watching the Snow ads and everyone you had behind it, and I'm like, dude, you've had just some massive names. Yeah. Hold up your shit. Not your
awesome.
Snow.
It's awesome.
Right?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Kardashians, Gronk.
Yes.
Now I'm sitting here trying to name them.
Every Real Housewife, every Bachelor, Bachelorette, Teen Mom. I mean, every one that I watched growing up, which has been awesome.
When did that happen?
Early on, actually.
How the hell do you
I'm a big believer in manifestation. I do believe that the moment I started, see, the thing is, I had the Snow idea about a year before I started making moves on it. And I always wanted to call it Snow, even though it was like 4 letters. I don't know if I'll ever get to trademark the username. Now we have it all. It's 4 letters. And that took years too. But in the very beginning, I started putting it out there that I was promoting this product. It's teeth whitening, and it would be celebrity friendly because they whiten their teeth quite often. So if they have sensitive teeth, so I was already in the
You
beginning.
put that message out there before you had a celebrity actually holding up Snow.
I started it already because I said, man, where can I zig where they're zagging? So today there aren't many brands in Nordstrom, Neiman Marcus, Saks, but also in Costco, CVS. So the idea was oral care meets cosmetics, really, so that it could be sexy and cool, but then really good ingredients. Make it unisex because men deserve better for your oral care too. But that's kind of the vibe inside of there. And that was just the first thought. And so from the beginning, I was attracting that energy. Then I got a call from a friend of mine, and you never know. That's why you got to put it all out there. You got to just douse your community. Once you're burn the boats, you douse it, and you're just all in. I got a call, and she says, "Hey, are you working on that teeth whitening, company, all of that?" I said, "Yeah, it's Snow Teeth Whitening," and we were known by Snow Teeth Whitening, the whole thing in the beginning. And she was like, "Hey, listen, there's this show called MVP that we're filming, and it's celebrity athletes that are on the panel, and you come in and pitch. I think they'd like this. The mouth guard, they use mouth guards. I think it makes sense." Like, yeah, sounds good. And I had just done $1 million in sales, total lifetime sales for Snow. Get that call, and I said, "You know what? I'm going to do it."
You're how old at this time?
22, 23, or 23 maybe at this time. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, all right. She calls me, and I'm like, "What, Christine, when do you need me to be there?" She's like, "It's this Tuesday." I go, "Okay, I got to get this all lined up." So that was the start of getting exposed to them. They all went in on the deal. So it was the biggest deal in the show's history. I went in manifesting that. I said, "I got to figure it out." I was the last guy to go up, and just figured it out. I watched every episode because it was season 2. So I watched every episode. This is before AI. Now I can do it in 5 minutes. But I watched every episode. I took notes. What did the judges like? Who's on there? I saw that Rob Gronkowski is routinely on there. So I prepped this whole pitch. I was in the green room from 7 a.m. to like 8 p.m. And they finally called the green room, like the size of 2 of these couches. And there's 10 of us going in and out, restroom. And we finally get there, and I'm like, I'm not giving up. I'm staying locked in. Repeat anything that I need to say. Went on there, did the pitch. They all went in on it. And then Rob Gronkowski told me, he's like, "I've never whitened my teeth before. I have super sensitive teeth. You're telling me I can whiten for 21 days with this thing, and I'm not going to have any sensitivity?" I said, "Yes. Try it out. And if not, fine." And he said, "If it's true, I'm all in on this. I'm going crazy with it." And now we've got like music videos. I mean, we've done so much with the Gronk family, and that was early on. And so the moment that deal happened, they didn't put any money in. It was simply they got a piece of the company for promoting it. Really? And so still bootstrap, no outside money. But I said, man, I'd be a dummy to not take that opportunity at $1 million in total lifetime sales. And now we'll do $1 million in a day. Like that was the lifetime sales.
Right.
And I said, I'm gonna take the risk. Let's do it. And so it was a huge percentage, but it was a piece of the company that he still owns today.
Really?
And it'll be, I think, probably his best investment ever. Yeah. But and it's fun to work toward that. But in the beginning, yeah, man, it was getting out there. How do we make oral care or teeth whitening, more importantly, Snow's teeth whitening kit, cool? Well, people buy from who they like and trust. So yes. One of the ways to wire that is press. So I went after Vogue. I knew in the beginning, if we can get Neiman, Nordstrom, or if we can get Neiman and Saks, we can get Nordstrom, which we have all 3 now. And we would carve our way into the brand that makes sense to be there. And celebrities actually buy our products now. Thousands of celebrities, they buy it, right?
Snow's everywhere.
It's their thing that they use. A buddy of mine was at I don't know if it was Victoria's Secret Fashion, one of them, and he said, you know what's crazy? Like 6 out of the 12 girls had they were using a snow product to prep while they were doing their hair
Behind
and makeup,
the-
behind the scenes,
yeah.
like a styling tool.
Really?
And I think that's because I went after Vogue. I went after In Style magazine. I went after the makeup artist instead of the dentist initially, the dermatologist.
Yeah.
Because everybody has teeth. You carve. What's Liquid Death? Black Rifle Coffee. Canned water, coffee. Veterans and a very unique brand identity, both billion-dollar businesses.
Yeah.
In a very I'm going to start a water brand. I'm going to start a coffee brand. And then I said, I'm going to start a toothpaste brand. So we had to figure out what is the vibe that we're catching. And I think consumers nowadays, they're willing to switch it up. Yeah. Like when Charlie does her routine, she has a certain thing for her brows, a certain thing for her eyelashes. And they're not all the same brand like it used to be, where it's different things.
Yep.
And she's got a whole thing like this filled up now. And I go, what if oral care was maybe not that much, but like, what if you had a few things? You had your powder, boom. You have your veneer toothpaste. You have your electric toothbrush. You take the head off. You could put a massager on for your face with our new model. So
That's
like,
you.
That's me. Yeah, that's Snow. And that's what we do. We build
The
everything
thing where the
internal.
girls are rubbing their face.
Well, that's probably a derma roller.
Oh, you're
There's a
talking
lot
about
of those.
within your...
So no, they brush your teeth and then they take the head off, the same device.
Yep.
And then they put a face pad, a silicone face pad on there, and then it vibrates and you put your cleanser on. So your toothbrush, so when you travel, all you need is your Snow toothbrush, a face attachment, tongue scrubber, and your toothbrush instead of bringing all kinds of products with you. So we crossed that bridge of beauty, cosmetics, then oral care, and then most recently we added supplements. So we added vitamins, and we said, well, if they're brushing twice a day, that's 4 minutes a day that were in their mouth. If they use a teeth whitening kit, 15 minutes at least, or a strip. If they're mouthwash, 2 more minutes. Flossing, 2 more minutes. You add it up, we're in their mouth for 30 minutes a day. Damn. So 30 minutes a day, what could we be doing while we're in there? What about vitamins, probiotics? Let's help with their bad breath. Yeah, get them all the whitening. Boss, they're afraid about the whitening. Double it, but give them this. So now they're getting vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin B6, B12, all of this stuff in one, a fluoride alternative for American adults. So they don't have to, like choices. And then what I found is by being in the market, the trick about business when you build something big is to not die. And the longer you stay alive, you'll see competitors drop. You'll see all kinds of stuff. You might be able to buy them for pennies on the dollar. Not dying is most important, which means profitability is most important. So figuring that out as you scale, like we've done to hundreds of millions of dollars, without losing our head too much, has been very, very rewarding in the aspect of what it's created for me and the people that have been along the journey. I'm sure each one of them would say, that's a roller coaster of learning.
Yeah.
And depending on where they're at, like we cracked Nordstrom. Nordstrom never sold toothbrushes before. Like
ever.
This is a smile care department we built with them. Best Buy never sold a whitening kit ever. Costco never sold a whitening kit ever. So it's not that we're Me Too products. Like we also have our we're changing the way that people think about oral care. And that is something that is bigger than even what I'm building today. To get a billion views a month at our peak, we're driving education. And of course, we have knockoffs and ripoffs and all this stuff, but we stayed in our lane and just kept pushing. And the thing about branding, your own brand and a brand, consistency, man. A Rolls Royce, consistency across the line. And that, if you do that over time, what does that build? Trust. And then if you do it well enough, they like you, which means you're the person now who they like and trust. And that's where the celebrities were helpful. And we work with thousands of celebrities, some paid, some unpaid, some random. It just became that thing until it now is that thing. And then I said, how do we make it now everybody's thing? Put it in Costco. So that's that next layer, because we're in a space unlike Rolls-Royce. Rolls-Royce is not going to come out with a C-Class, I don't think, soon. Like anytime soon. But Mercedes is different. They can hit every consumer across the board. Snow is more like a Mercedes. It's not a Rolls Royce. You know, our quality is Rolls Royce, but really it's a Mercedes line.
Is there a higher end than what? So there's another brand.
There's another level. So Snow Clinical is what's available in dental
it's you.
offices. It's still me.
Yeah, I got it.
But it's higher concentration. We might use some over-the-counter specific ingredients that you need to get from your dentist or a professional for bleeding gums, for example. But there's things like people want to whiten their teeth when they should be flossing their teeth more. So we have to make it. They're never going to do it unless they want to do it.
Yep, I agree.
So how do you get them to want to do it? Desire. How do you create manufactured desire in a product as boring as floss?
Yeah.
And to me, I felt like, I'll do it. Like it felt like so difficult. And then with the help of the celebrities, it at least gets the attention. But you got to be able to respond to that attention that you get. Because everyone says, how do I get a Kardashian? I say, are you ready for it? Is your supply chain ready for it? Is your legal ready for it? What is she going to promote? Why would she promote that? Why? So there's so much in there. And then do you have 300,000-400,000 if she wants to charge you for this post? And she does, what if she doesn't want to do it?
Right.
So I think it's easy to become a linchpin for a lot of brand builders in the e-com space. At the end of the day, today, our biggest promoter is our customers. So our TikTok shop creators.
Is your best advertisement.
Nothing beats it, man. Because it's straight up them. They're like, I'm using it. They
can't
come up
fake
with
it.
stuff I can't come up with. I've been coming up with stuff for a long time. And I'm like, oh, let's do where you're brushing your teeth and skateboarding. But then they come up with something, you're like, what? And then it gets 20 million views on TikTok.
Jesus.
And you're like, that's way better than what I would have done. And then they get a commission. So we pay 20% commission on TikTok built in for every product sold. You don't need permission from us.
Really?
So we have 18,000 creators every day pushing our products on TikTok right now. And now I'm like, let's get that to 100,000 creators. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's growing fast. It's a doubling month over month. It's just
Really?
And then they're making so much money promoting Snow that they're like, and it's free to join. We help them do it. And I was like, oh yeah. Like I said, do not die, because this phase that we're in right now, I am so excited about. TikTok Shop, we have the ability to pay out millions in commissions to everyday people. These are literal everyday people, single moms, $80,000.
Can make how much?
I mean, thousands of dollars a month, $80,000 a month, which is our top affiliate right now.
No shit.
And she's never done this before. She's not a celebrity. She has like 10,000 followers, but it's not. I think it's because she went viral. Like, it's the algorithm. The algorithm is what's pushing it. So brands like us are saying, oh, I could give all the money and commission to the platform, or someone like TikTok said, we're going to cut them in on it. So they cut in the creator. Now there's over 1 million creators right now on the TikTok Shop affiliate program just in the US. And then TikTok Shop just launched in Spain. So we're going to repeat the model in Spain. Wow. Spanish, teeth, we got it. So this is something where I'm like, ooh, this is a little bit interesting because it has massive scale. You build a community. Imagine you wake up, you have 100,000 people that are getting paid to promote your product or service, and they're having a great time, and they've got free products and giveaways and contests. So I was like, you know what, this is very vibey because it's a community, and they all love the product. We're learning. They get feedback.
Yeah.
They're like, Josh, and I'm on the calls. Like, Josh, what if the strips were thicker, or what if they were this? Yeah, what about this? So you're hearing it from them, and I go, man, this could be the fastest growth we've ever seen.
How does someone get involved with that right there, Josh?
Well, if you want to join the Snow affiliate program, it's free. Just Google Snow affiliate program or Snow Teeth Whitening affiliate program, maybe. Should be the top one. Sign up there. TikTok Shop one is built into the app. So you just go there and tag the product. Like if you have a Snow product right now, you could do a TikTok, tag it, and the commission's built into your account.
Got it.
So it says right there. So that one's built in. And then in regards to learning about affiliate marketing, I just launched affiliatemarketing.com to teach brand owners, to teach affiliates, anybody. I've been doing this for 18 years now in total. I've never seen a bigger like gold rush moment where literal nobodies are making $80,000. And, the top ones figure it out, right? Like our top creators know this is their full-time job, but they don't have a degree. They don't, and this stuff, like it's nothing. They have a TikTok account and they have a snow product or whatever product and they tag it. That's it.
And the checks come.
It's all automated. We don't get paid until they get paid. So TikTok takes out the money, pays the creators, and then gives us the difference.
There you go. I love that.
It's crazy.
Dude, how does someone at 31 years old,
Yeah.
I know you may not feel it, you're young, that's done what you've done, been in the game as long as you've been in the game, knowing you have financial, you even said it yourself, you haven't taken a dollar from Snow.
Right.
And financially, you are okay. Because a lot of people are out there thinking, damn, he's 31 years old. You have no kids.
No kids.
No kids, right? What keeps a guy like you? In my head, Josh, I'm like, me and my wife, we have this number in our head.
Right.
We're going to hit a certain number. And until then, I don't think I've made it. Right? Yeah. Once I have $50 million, I haven't, in my head, sure. I still have anxiety.
I do this exercise. It's a great question. I do this exercise with my students of the compound interest calculator. And because I had to do it and obviously I've known about it for a long time, but when you do it after you've blown $10-20 million, it's different. And so when you go in there, you're like, instead of spending $20 million in 2 years on frivolous stuff, and I put that in literally the S&P 500. So like that's the exercise I like to work through sometimes, because really the 50 million, unless you're going to go spend it right away, right? Like the 50 million, you need it because you need 10 million down on the yacht, 10 million down on the house, 10 million down here, 10 million, then you can put 5 million in the savings or investments. Otherwise, it's usually a sense of security. That number creates security, but money doesn't create as much security as cash flow, and especially passive cash flow. So then if you look at like Cody Bajugan's fund pays 20% a year. They do land entitlements. It's boring, but it's great, and it does well. That's a higher end return, but even the S&P 500 returns 10% over a 20-year period. So 10% per year. If you're not actively earning the income, the tax is half, or let's say around there. So that's good. If you look at maybe on the 50 million, you'd make 10%, 5 million. But what if you could get to 5 million per year sooner or whatever? There's certain areas, because I sold a company for $70 million 2 years ago that was paying us about $1 million plus per month in cash flow, and it was semi-automated. And the cash flow aspect that I sold in exchange for the $70 million, $50 million up front, and I've gotten that $50 million wire. And I think that I would, at this point, I would keep the $1 million a month going, and then try to like make a game. It's like you're filling cups. And what I wish I would have done better is, and I've got my investments, but I definitely could have done better. Now I know better.
Of course.
But like, I look at it and I'm like, man, because no one really teaches you this stuff. Like
no.
No one really teaches you this stuff.
No one in my family's done it, bro.
No. First generation, like, all right, guys, what do we do with 8 million? Ideas?
Right.
And it's like, that's not good. And then you go to the wrong convention, you go, ideas like, invest it with me, invest it with me, invest it with, and you're like, oh my gosh.
I agree.
So you're like stuck. Then you're on YouTube, and then you're like what do I?
It's scary.
Then it's scary. Then you call a financial advisor, invest in stocks. And you're like, should I be really? And then you meet a random crazy guy, invest in crypto. And you're like, this is crazy. So the thing is, we spend so much time fixating on getting the money that we don't prepare ourselves to be rich. And if you're not prepared to be rich, you cannot get wealthy. You will spend it all. And like Cardi B just came out recently. She's like, I'm spending $3 million a month. And I've gotten to similar lifestyle where it's dangerous. Like unless you're pulling in hundreds of millions a year, you should not be spending that much money. So I think if you take the 50 million and then you take what that's going to drive income, because you're not going to spend that necessarily. You're going to invest it.
Yeah.
And it's for life, and to know that that's locked in.
Yeah.
You're going to get there anyway. But what's crazy is that you get there by building this. So by getting to $1 million a month in cash flow, I got to $70 million. The thing is, I sold the cash flow. So the real challenge is, how do you get to that cash flow, which means that you're reinvesting the cash flow in the business into real estate projects, RV homes, Section 8, whatever you're doing.
You're doing all that.
I'm doing that now. But back then, I mean, I thought I learned the lesson. And it's very humbling to learn it again.
Yeah.
And the lesson of, I thought when I made my first million or 10 million, and I went to the van store and bought every shoe there, or bought 3 cars, or, these kind of things that you exert. And I found that I was seeking a level of intensity that reminded me of my childhood, the race away from poverty, the race away from that. And that intensity can easily be found in partying, drugs, alcohol, spending, gambling, sex. There's a whole list of devices, but and sometimes all of them. So that is what I had to come to terms with. And I think it's very difficult as a self-made entrepreneur. And a lot of times, and sometimes I get flack for this, but I'm going to keep saying it, it is sometimes more difficult in the business space as a man. It's changing rapidly, but just in general, as a man and woman, but as a man, I would say in some circles, I can see it, and I've run communities, and they tell me that that vulnerability of as you're escalating in your business, we feel like we have to go into our cave, build something so great like a Snow, and then we're going to get accepted. The thing is, it's not entirely false. If you build something great for 10 years, it's not even about the thing. It's, we know what it takes to commit to something for that long. That's the respect that is derived from that hard work and consistency. So if I would have known that earlier on, that becoming a better man, becoming a better entrepreneur, better leader, going from entrepreneur to business owner to leader, I would learn how to do that. All those things that come as a part of this journey are equally as valuable as the $50 million. I think at this point in your career, there's no worry about that point, which means that wealth and the American dream is freedom, in my opinion, which means you do whatever you want to do, when you want to do it, with who you want to do it, how you want to do it. You do what you like that. And I'm willing always to compromise, and you do the conversation with the family, or in my case, my fiance. Hey, the next 6 months we're locking in. We're it's always me and you versus the problem. And it's going to be very stressful because we're going to try to 3x EBITDA before we sell this business. We have the plan. It's going to mean that I might have to fly out a couple times. You're going to hold down the fort. And you create that plan with your team, with your family, with yourself. And that's kind of what I dial in. So when I look at the $50 million goal, for me, it's not about, I love cash flow. Cash flow is king. It feels really good to have, even if it's not diversified, but you've got cash flow coming in, that's the best. Creating brand equity, enterprise value. I like to, I'm willing on holding out on making short-term cash, but I need to then be making money multiple other ways. And so that's the same thing with Snow, is I ballooned it so that when I raised money, I could raise at such a high valuation that even as a toothpaste brand, it would create it would substantiate the valuation that I would one day ask for if I go public, or if we do a partnership or a merge with a Crest or a Colgate. They would say, well, who are you? You're just some 30-year-old kid from Phoenix, take 100 million. So the credentialization, I think, is important. But I would say what I figured out for me, at least right now, what's working for me is I'm trying to maximize every season of my life, because I've gone through so many seasons now that things are going to be hard. Even the house renovation, 2 years, at a certain point, you have to get it's a mental plasticity exercise. You got to you make your mind, really, you got to get in there and say, this is mine. And this is what I'm programming in. The next 6 months is going to be a little difficult.
Yeah.
We're going to have to work out a little earlier. It's like talking to yourself. We're going to work out earlier. And obviously you do this, but those listening, like having to learn that programming is so important. Dude.
Super important.
It's like, when things get hard, doesn't mean you have to quit. There's a lot of things I do that I do not enjoy doing, but I have taught myself to enjoy doing them.
Yep.
And so like those pieces I think are the most beautiful aspects. And so for me today, Snow is at a point of mass distribution. We have great products, great customers, millions of customers. We want to keep serving them as best as we can. And at some point that might mean partnering with a bigger brand for us to do that in a better way. And that number, I know that I will never struggle for money again now. And I have to tell myself that every day because I can operate from a space of abundance,
Yes,
but still have the urgency and scarcity to get shit done of that kid there. So yeah, I pull little pieces, and I think through years of therapy and kind of going through those things, what pieces are useful that I can channel? Because it's a superpower,
Yep.
but I've got to channel them. Otherwise, I'm going to hurt myself, the people I love around me, if I can't figure that piece out. Because you either do the work along the way or you try to do it all at the end when you're rich, and then it's really lonely. And then, it's like you got to kind of do both. So my message to people now is, if you're really starting, like, I'm sorry, there's no other way around it. You have to hustle. You have to work a lot. I really, really do not. I worked 18-hour days for like 8 years straight. Like I don't know, in my Bentley even. Like I don't know what to tell you outside of that, because there is no shortcut I found until you build the foundation, right? Like now I could take a day off from Snow.
Yep.
But like not in the beginning. Like you can't build that, and if you're not obsessed over it, it will not work.
Yeah.
And someone else will eat your lunch.
Yep.
And I've learned that now. So that's where I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to have 1,000 team members myself. Like I can have a partnership and we have 1,000 team members, but me leading the 1,000 people, I like to spend my time in the architecture of the business model. Like there's things I really enjoy doing. And for the next businesses, I'm going to focus in that area, and I'm going to find partners and team members that are really good in those areas. And I get to relax a little bit more. It's not like I need to pay my rent tomorrow feeling. And I think sometimes that would channel. I mean, I had that $50 million wire come in. First thing I thought was, me and my partner were like, let's move it around just in case it was a mistake. Like it didn't even feel right in that aspect to have that transaction process, even though we worked our asses off for 5 years, built $1 million a month profit business, like great team. We did all of that, but it's still that imposter syndrome.
Of course.
It never leaves. So you have to make it your thing to always program that in. And I think that was the change for me over the last couple of years, where it made Snow actually, I think, grow again. I think in the last 12 months, by finding my area of expertise, knowing what the plan is for this business, that clarity, then sharing that with the whole team, putting the entire team, everybody on the entire Snow team is on profit sharing.
I love it.
A whole entire team. And I don't know who else does not have some type of other incentive plan inside of there. So we're locking in. That's going really well. But now I have this urge for Snow to grow internationally. And then I want to be able to teach a lot more people. I enjoy teaching through TV, through my TV show, through events, through podcasts, and then hanging out with my family, traveling, having fun with my friends, going and shooting. And I was with Cody. We went shooting at Scottsdale Gun Range. I box. So now things that I would
Wondering what was up with the
myself.
knuckles, dude.
Oh, these? So
that's
this
from-
is actually from skiing, dude.
Oh, is it?
This is from, so I ski, yeah. So
I saw that when you walked in.
yeah, I like a dummy, I took off, it was icy, and we took off our gloves, and, slippery. So I end up falling, literally at the very end as I'm like, oh yeah, and then there's ice, I don't know what I hit. and I just go straight down onto this hand on straight ice, which is pretty much like glass, right, on the ground.
Yeah.
And then I posted a picture, and people were like, "What is going on?" But no, I do box as well, and just things. I made time for hobbies because I go, man, what's the point of having a Rolls Royce and flying private and all this stuff if I'm that stressed? I might as well hold off on it. Like, let me just work then. Like, fine. But it's hard, and that took me years to figure out where I could really enjoy the moment that I'm in.
Yeah.
If it's a hard moment, enjoy it, be blessed, and take the learning. If it's a great moment, really enjoy it, because I punch myself sometimes thinking about some trips that I would go on where I wasn't fully present. And, and we would spend all this money and do all this stuff, and I wasn't fully present because I was searching, and there's this uncomfortability and anxiety of searching for that thing.
I can relate to that. I really can. It was an eye opener, reality check one time when somebody had asked me, Eric, what are your hobbies? And I sat there because it was awkward silence.
Right.
And I go, I don't have any hobbies.
Right.
It was work. It was literally work. If not, I was at home with my family, and I'm like, man, I gotta get back into something. And I remember telling Shyla, my wife, I'm like, she goes, what did you like to do as a kid? And I go, I love snowboarding. So I went and bought all the snowboard gear. I hadn't done it in 15 years. And I remember when we went to a mountain, I put everything on. I went down that mountain, and it literally had been 15, maybe even 16 years since I've done that.
Wow.
And I remember the first time going, and this was not long ago. I'm back into snowboarding now, but I remember I was going down that mountain. My brain shut off. It was like
Nirvana.
Huh?
It was a point of nirvana. Like, you just felt
I couldn't believe
bliss.
it. And I got down to the bottom of that hill, and I was like, oh my God, I forgot what this feels like. And I told my wife, I'm like, I have to do this.
Yeah.
Like, I have to get back to this. My body, my brain, my sanity needs this again, where my brain shuts off. It's like a form of meditation for me. So
I'm glad you said it, because I'm obsessed with skiing now, and I don't know why I waited so long. And now I'm golfing. Like, I literally lived at the Phoenician golf course and didn't go on there. And it was almost like a sense of pride at that time that I didn't know it. But it's like, what's the pride for? And I had the same thing. I would work and, drink, and then wake up, work, drink, and then dinners every night. And I'm like, dude, there's got to be
more to it.
There's got to be more to it. I was like, I've always wanted to box. Why don't I just go to a lesson and see how it feels? And then I started inviting a couple buddies. So now it's, 3 of us, and it kind of cycles through the rotation. Then we go shooting. It was 6 of us. And I was like, you know what? I got to stop waiting. Obviously get work done, but you're going to get, if you can trust yourself as a high performer, which we're high performers, we know we're going to get it done. But it's like, you know what? I'm going to spend a little bit of time. Or if we're with family and I'm like, you know what, babe, let's stay another day. Or, we're having such a blast. Let me go ahead and move this meeting over. I'm gonna knock it out before anyone even wakes up. It's everything's gonna be done because I'm that guy.
I love
it. And I think that's that conviction of just be that guy. And for me, I got to get it all done. I used to do it before when I would party, drink, do all this stuff, and then I got it done, and I used it as a badge of honor back then to get it done. And then now I'm like, oh, I'm tired. Or I'm like, no. Let's go work out. Let's do this. This morning, me and Charlie, we went and worked out 2 hours. Anything that I want to do, I'm going to create that time. I love it. And then you may have to work a little bit harder. You may have to spend that night finishing up work. Maybe Sunday has a little work in it for you. But I'm no longer willing to compromise making memories with my friends, my family, my loved ones. I'm not going to miss a buddy's wedding because I have to go do a presentation for a client. I'm not doing it, dude. And whatever comes of that, I'll figure it out, because now I have enough life in me to look back and have a little bit of that regret. but it's a learning, and I'm young enough to make a change. We're always young enough to make a change. And that, for me, is what drilled in. But I had the same thing of, what are your hobbies? Work, 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 make money. Like, why do I need hobbies? See that Ferrari that I never drive? Like, that was literally my life. And I can slip into that very easily because I'm so addicted to this sport that I love. I just freaking love it. But I have to pull myself on. I go, nope, Friday I'm boxing. Saturday I'm clay pigeon shooting. Sunday I'm doing hot yoga with the babe. Like, you know, then we're going to lunch. I'm going to check in on my friends, because that's one thing that we do that we don't do. But what we do is we go into our caves and we've got to build. We all have our teams. We got our own things. And then we kind of meet up in those spots. And it's like, no, like, why can't we go get a sandwich on a Wednesday? Or like, why can't we go shooting on Sunday? Or, you know, there's these moments. And so I became that person in my friend group so that I didn't have to rely on other people to build that. And it's been the most beautiful change. And the work still gets done. It's more calm. And now, you know, if someone comes to me, or Charlie comes to me and she's like, babe, do you want to leave early and get this work done? I go, no, actually, I got all that stuff already done. And just, if you change things to make it happen, it's your life. And I'm no longer willing to do anything that I don't feel is something that I want to do. But it takes a long time to get there, right? You have to build it, maybe, you know, hopefully not lose it, but build it, lose it, build it, lose it, do it.
Been there, done that.
And then you get to a point where you're like, nah, I know what I'm building. I know what I want. I know what and that's such a good feeling to get to. So I urge everybody, like, listening to, maybe you don't know exactly what you want, but maybe there's some things you don't like. And maybe there's time to look into the things you don't like. I didn't like accounting and finance, but then I realized if I don't learn to love it, someone else will have more power than me in a very powerful aspect in business. And I got to level up my character and learn how to love it. Do I got to put music on to stay focused? Do I need to get my favorite coffee and like watch it? You have to figure out how to do that, because if you do not, it is only a matter of time before you're your own bottleneck. And sometimes that's in trusting the wrong people, even though you believe they're the right people, because then your weakest link is no longer in control. Like, you're no longer in control of your weakest link. So the bigger you grow the organization, the more different it is. That's why I think from an entrepreneur, I would say that's 1 to maybe even 100 employees, depending on the type of business. But it's when, you know, CEO, where it's really like 100 plus, 500. As we were doubling our team size, I learned very quickly that was not my sauce. And I like working with entrepreneurial people, even if they're my teammates, even if they're contractors, agencies. I know what I work well with now.
Right.
And my team does too, and sometimes they'll help translate. But I am very, like, it's just, I'm at that point. I go, listen, I'm golfing at 6 to 8. I'm like 80 right now.
Yeah.
But also 21 again, because I'm hungry and I'll work anybody. So you just have to balance it. And I think you figure that out over time. And it creates confidence and stuff. But I don't know, man. I think right now I'm very focused on, obviously, Snow, brand builders, affiliatemarketing.com, which is teaching people how to do this stuff. This is truly, I finally really feel comfortable sharing something openly where it's someone that's never even touched a computer or made a video could do.
You can help them.
But it's up to them, right? You got to hustle, but like, you know, but it's really there. Like,
it's
look
real.
at this. Yeah, look at this video of a cat. It made 80 grand. So like, I don't know what to tell you. It's 10 seconds. You have a cat and you have an iPhone. I don't know what to tell you at this point.
Right.
So for me, it feels really good to have something like that, because of course, in brand builders, we show people how to build a brand. And you can do that faster and easier and cheaper than ever now. But there's nothing like, boom, you pop a video on, tag a product you already have, and you made $18 while you were sleeping. That took me years when I was
to figure that out.
Like, it's literally a click. And then AI, like, there's so much right now where I'm like, dude, I don't know. Like,
it's never been easier.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
I feel very blessed to be alive in this moment, because there's some interesting stuff.
Of course, if they all remember how you said it started, you were taking the city bus to the public library to the
Valley Metro.
Man, dude, it has been an absolute pleasure and honor, Josh, having you on here.
Well, thank you for having me on, brother.
Honestly,
Anytime. I appreciate it.
I know we haven't hung out a ton. I look forward to still taking that relationship to another level, bro, but you're an inspiration to me, to so many
Likewise,
other people,
brother.
honestly.
And Shyla.
Yes.
And Kai. You have an amazing family.
Thank you.
And I'm so happy to call you a neighbor now. Now I know where your office is, so
Yeah.
we'll be hanging out.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hey, what's going on? I want to congratulate you for making it to the end. What does that mean? You're in the 1% club. No one else stuck around. You did. What I want you to do is subscribe. More importantly, comment below. That way I know exactly who you are and we can get to know one another. Every single week, by you turning your notifications on, you're not gonna miss the sales training that's gonna keep you in this 1% club. Comment below, subscribe. I'm gonna see you in the next video. Let's continue to refuse to lose.